President, I thank you for giving me the privilege to fire the first salvo. Your Lordship, because of this privilege, may I ask if you can share with us here, senators, and indeed Nigerians, your vision and your thoughts for the Nigerian judiciary, especially now that you are being considered to become the head of the entire judicial system in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chairman, my distinguished colleagues, I am Senator George Thompson Sekibo. I represent the Rivers Central District from Rivers State. My Lord, the CJN. Mr. President, I have just a question for the ABC. Permit me before I bring the question forth. Because for me, what we are doing is an assessment of performance. It is not necessarily a purpose, because the CJN has occupied the seat and has done for me very, very well for the past period of the administration, even though it was an acting position. He has stabilized the judiciary system. He has put the courts together, especially what we used to observe in those days when there are different cases, cases that are in two different courts of the same case brought by the same person, giving different judgment. I think those ones have been streamlined properly. And I felt that also during the turbulence of all these political classes, we have done so well for us. We've gone through the CVs, nothing bars you from becoming the citizen of this country. So I would ask my question is on the prisons. I happen to be chairman Senate Committee on Interior, and I found out these few things in 2015. At that time, we had 67 prison inmates in Nigerian prisons, out of which we were told only 20,000 have actually been giving judgment, whether we are condemned or given different terms of imprisonment. And then 47,000 persons were awaiting on trials. Some of them have been in prison for over 13 years. So my question, Mr. CJN, is this: why do those who have the power to execute condemned prisoners, we told the power given to them by the Constitution, and allow them still to remain in the prisons? What can we do about it? That is the first one. The second question is it not an injustice to keep somebody on awaiting trial for years, whose offense, maybe if it had been properly adjudicated, may fetch him a year or maybe just 2 years imprisonment, and the person now has spent over 10 years or so in prison? Will it be out of place, sir? Third question, to set up an ad hoc courts that can carry out speedy trials of people who have been just on waiting trial for this long period? And finally, if you give somebody on a waiting trial, for 5-10 years, and then he's giving a judgment, he has already been in the prison for 5-10 years, for instance, and then he's giving a judgment for 2 years against him to be in prison. What do we do about the years he has already served? And then, if he is free by the judgment, by the findings of the court, can there be no way of compensating him for spending like 10 years or more in the prison without being found guilty? Thank you very much. I'm to learn. That's why I have these questions.
I want to just know how you are going to bring new laws for us to strengthen the judiciary and also strengthen. No, I'm coming. Bring new laws to us. Bills, sorry. bring bills to us, bring new bills, to strengthen the judiciary so the instant clash that the judiciary and the security agencies are having will stop. Because sometimes there are processes of removing a judiciary officer. And sometimes our law enforcement agencies just bungle into these people all over Nigeria without minding that there are established laws already. So how do you get us a new bill to strengthen your hand to be able to strengthen the judges to have powers to make decisions in the court of law?
Mr. President and distinguished senators, the first question is asking about my vision and thoughts on how to improve the Nigerian judiciary. Now, the Nigerian judiciary is only one arm of government. We cannot on our own, except when we put heads together with the legislature and with the executive, that we may be able to project the Nigerian judiciary to limelight. As normal, I believe you have the presumption, and you know it very well, that the judiciary doesn't talk. We don't say anything. And we don't make follow-ups because we don't want the same to be done to us. Therefore, we leave everything to the executive and the legislature, believing that the executive and the legislature know the pros and the cons of the other arm of government, that is the judiciary. Now, but with due respect, that is not the true position of what obtains in the society. Now, we therefore rely on what is made as a provision for us. We never go hand in cap begging or asking for anything. Because if I ask, tomorrow I will be asked, and I wouldn't like it. Therefore, we are very careful, and we remain contented with the provision made for us. There may be some differences in the way things are being operated in the states, because there are different states, and there are different understandings in between especially the executive and perhaps the judiciary. But usually, and in good principle of law, we never go a-begging, because I wouldn't want anybody to come a-begging to me. If I do that and I don't reciprocate, then I will become somebody else. Therefore, it is better you don't even start it at all. We are therefore contented with what is given to us. But where we have the opportunity, as this very opportunity that this distinguished Senate has provided for me today, if I am permitted I may bring hosts of problems that are becoming stumbling block to the progress of the Nigerian judiciary, or particularly the judiciary at the federal level. We understand some of the states are doing something a little different. Now, we hope by the time we go back, we make attempts to see that we bring our proposals for the amendments of many of our laws. When we get those laws amended, certainly the operation will be better. Now, in other states, because we don't control the states, the governors there allow them to modify all the system, and they are doing better. Now we can see it from the case reports, because we ask them to be giving us reports on what obtains in the states. Now we see a lot of improvement. So it all depends on the treatment the executive, or the position or the status the executive has given to the judiciary. We will not go a-begging. But if what is due for us is given to us in good time, we want, let us be supervised and observe what we do. We are sure it will be a little better off than we found it. And I intend, God willing, that I will project, if I have the cooperation of the executive and the legislature, to project the Nigerian judiciary into greater heights. So I'm soliciting, although I will solicit it at the proper time. This is not the proper time for me to beg, because I'm under examination. So I hope by the time we'll make it very clear to the legislature and the executive, I hope they'll be able to assist the Nigerian judiciary. As old as it is, we are in the old reminiscence up till today. Let us see some beautiful things in the judiciary. Let us appreciate that our brothers who are seated here and in the Executive Council appreciate what we do. We are not asking for anything, but let us be given what is due for us, what is our right, and let us have structures that befit our status. For example, the executive just recently has recommended that we should go on to appoint more justices, about 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, when we appoint the 5, that's making 21, because we cannot exceed 21 until and unless we come to you and you permit us to do so, then we can. But we require a number of justices and judges, quite all right. But we are limited to 21. Now, if we go on to appoint the 5 or the 6, where do we accommodate them? How do we, and even in the offices, we don't have office vacant now for a judge, for a justice that is coming. The only thing is, if it happens, we have to remove some junior officers from their offices. We send them down and we create a temporary structure for them and then we ask the new justices to occupy their offices. That is the only alternative for us. But if the executive and the legislator know our problems, I am sure any time we come, they will say, okay, please go and solve your problem. Therefore, we may, as time goes on, be coming to you to appeal to you to see that the judiciary is up to the standard, is up to the level, so that if anybody comes, even though when they come now from Ghana, from other places, they are really very happy to see the way we are working and to see even the structures we have. But Nigeria, as we always say, is a big brother. Therefore, we have to behave and act in a big brotherly manner. So that is what we intend to make of the judiciary through the legislature and the executive. Thank you. By Honorable distinguished Sekibo, he is talking about what we can do in order to see to those who are in the awaiting trials. My distinguished Senator, sir, our own is only to interpret and apply the law. Sir, there are situations where offenses committed by a suspect are primarily not bailable. There's no way a judge or a magistrate can admit the accused person to bail. So the only place for such an accused person is custody. And there is no any other place you can put him to custody but the prison. Now, we try to see that as much as possible. An offense which is bailable, we try to see that we urge even the lower courts to admit them to bail. But the problem is, what is happening is, you find an accused person who is admitted to bail running away. He doesn't want to come back for trial. And he is putting the person who takes his bail into trouble. But we don't want to really punish somebody just because of the offense committed by another person, to put him to prison. No, I don't know of anybody who did it. But certainly I know, sir, from experience, from the time I was a magistrate, when I was really dealing with this kind of bails and others, I know it normally happened. And sometimes I just had to shake my head because I wouldn't want somebody who takes bail to go in place of the accused person who has run away. And I wouldn't want him to forfeit his money. Especially if it is a criminal matter, we don't ask anybody to pay any money. But the thing is that since you have agreed to come and bail this man, you have agreed, therefore, whether explicitly or impolitely, that you are rendering yourself into the position, into the status of that person who has run away. Therefore, I have the option to send you to prison. But you wouldn't want it. And as a human being also, I must have that feeling. You are coming just to answer. I send you to prison. Your family will not see you again. because they will not allow you to go anywhere. Some of them will say, I will want to go and change my dress. No way. You go straight to the prison. So we wouldn't want that kind of thing. Now, all this boils, all this boils to one thing, sirs. It is the legislature that will take a holistic look at really our laws. How do we improve our laws? As much as we would want it, there is nothing we can do. The only thing we do is fair comment in our judgments. When we make those kind of fair comments, and if there's somebody who is following, maybe he will extract those fair comments, maybe bring it to you, have a look at it, and then if you decide, you make it to be a law. But we can never, we don't have the power to make a law. So, this is the position, and this is the problem, sir. Those awaiting trials, it is not on our wish that we are sending them. If it is bailable, we announce it to the whole world that the accused person is hereby admitted into bail of 200,000 naira and a surety in the like sum. Get somebody to come and bail you. He must be in the possession of those 200,000 naira. In the event he runs away, we will ask you to pay because we wouldn't want to send you to prison. If you fail to settle, then perhaps there's no alternative. It is the law that makes the provision for you. So, if you like, as the legislators, you can alter the position of the law and make it to be better. In other countries, they don't do this kind of things. But we have to take at our own position as Nigerians and in Nigeria. So I think it is left to the legislature to legislate. Our own is to interpret and apply the law. We don't even enforce the law.